Hello and welcome to another big UC news show. Today I'm joined by Evan Kirstel and Melissa Swartz. Welcome to the show. How are you both?
Great.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Fantastic. So we are at the end of a 2-week run of a fairly intensive events cycle. So it's a bit of a shortened version this week. But I do want to get into two big news stories that have happened over the last 2 weeks. One being Infocom and what we've learned from the AV market. The other being Avaya Engage. Avaya's coming out party. They are back. But let's start with Infocom. I was there myself, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for me. It was the first time I'd been along to that show, predominantly an AV show, and it was really meeting technology galore everywhere. You could not walk through those halls without bumping into a Roomba or other various types of meeting room technology. For me, the interest there was around not necessarily the technology of the video bars, but just that in-room experience that we're really seeing companies focus on now. Whether that's from an audio perspective or a video perspective, that seems to be where companies are really directing their attention. So Evan, I'm going to come to you first. First of all, what do in-room experiences mean to you right now? And what are you sort of seeing and learning from the AV market?
Well, it's a really fascinating evolution. We've gone from work from home to all hybrid all the time. So I think the whole industry has shifted to focusing on the importance of hybrid meetings as, businesses look to accommodate in-person and remote participants without them sort of being left out of the discussion as they have been traditionally. And, AV solutions need now to support, seamlessly those kind of hybrid meetings. And flexibility has become the new mantra, I think. It's not, work from home or in office. It's, work from anywhere. And that meetings need to be sort of easily configurable to any type of experience. And the focus now is on that employee experience, that user experience, you call it UX or UI. We don't have tolerance for difficult, hard to use meeting technology anymore. Our standards have been raised, I think, through the pandemic. So that ease of use is really important. And, the whole idea of design thinking when it comes to meeting spaces has come to the fore. It's really about creating a meeting space that's conducive to collaboration and productivity. We got used to being in our living rooms and our cocoons and having our space and our lighting and our sound the way we wanted it. And we got pretty good, many of us, at working from home. But now when we go in the office, we don't want a sea of cubes anymore. And we want good lighting. We want a comfortable environment. We want temperature control. We want, comfortable seating. We want cameras that make us look better. We want, a distraction-free environment, and we really want to get down to business and not faff about. I think you say that in UK, right? Faff about.
We definitely
Yeah,
use the word faff. Yeah, absolutely.
we don't faff about with the meeting technology for 10 minutes before getting down to business. So I think net is, all of the vendors were focused on that kind of new hybrid work experience. Logitech was really interesting. They had this thing called Project Ghost. I'm looking at some pictures of it now. It's sort of the coolest thing I've seen in a while. It's sort of a Star Trek-like, sort of presence huddle space, with truly immersive and collaborative communication opportunities, incredible video. I think it's a collaboration between Logitech and Steelcase. So lots of thought going now into design and aesthetics and things that we didn't really care about maybe some time ago.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And the other side of that conversation that I'm seeing a lot more of is around the meeting room and sort of device management as well. Some of those management platforms are providing some really fascinating data back to businesses And we've all come out of the pandemic phase, and we're all hyper focused on being efficient, right? And we're now seeing this in back to the office kind of trend where people are measuring the utilization of those rooms as well. Are 3 people using a room that is can equip 10 or 20 people? Is that an efficient use of that space? And that of course that also folds into that sort of deskless hot desking kind of environment we're also seeing. And Melissa, from you have some sort of clients in this space. What are you picking up from your clients in this realm as well?
Well, I'm seeing them actually decide on a technology and implement it organization-wide so that there's simplicity for the users. It's like it's the same no matter what room you go to. And in the past, I'd seen a lot of hybrid sort of, a little of this, a little of that, and funding really wasn't available to do a blanket upgrade on everything. And I'm actually seeing that now where there's a real effort on the part of the organization to standardize, again, for that user experience that you're talking about, to just make it easier. So I'm not seeing the standardizing on the same stuff, but I am seeing people actually really put some focus into meeting technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So shall we move on to our next topic? The big one this week, Avaya's a big customer event, Avaya Engage. Melissa, I know you were there in person. This is one we've all been waiting for some time. See, Alan Mazarak, CEO at Avaya, he's been in the chair now, must be coming up to a year or so. He's made a lot of the tough decisions that have needed to be made to this point. Some really, quite tough decisions as well. We're seeing the new C-suite starting to be formed. 3 new hires announced just before Engage there, and Alan's message to the world, if you like, is Avaya is back. There's still probably a bit of work to do there on earning some of that trust back from that customer base. But what do we know about Avaya's customer base? Well, a very impressive list of customers, which don't seem to have gone anywhere, which I don't know if that speaks to the loyalty of the customers or just how difficult it is to remove a big contact center solution like Avaya. I'm not sure which. But Melissa, tell me, what were your takeaways from the event? What did you pick up from Engage this week?
Well, one of the things that I really was impressed with was the top to bottom absorption of the messages. So Alan talked about being transparent, and I saw much more transparency from everyone that I talked to. Even the customers that would talk about their experience. It wasn't just a scripted, rainbows and unicorn story. It was like, okay, here's what I really experienced. So yeah, a lot of it was good, but we had some issues or whatever. It was very honest and very transparent and very refreshing from that perspective. They're still working on getting the executives, the C-suite sorted and finalized, but they're now able to move forward now that the financials are settled. And with a streamlined product line and being able to concentrate on specific market trends and things that they want to address, I think that they are really going to be able to move forward. In fact, one of the presentations that I saw, the guy said it feels like being in Navy SEAL training, and you're at the very end and you can drop that 50-pound pack and sprint for the finish line. So that's what the employees are feeling, and it showed. There was definitely enthusiasm on the part of the employees, and I think that innovation without disruption message resonated with a lot of customers. Maybe like you say, it's because it is so difficult to innovate without disruption that having a path is huge. So I think there was a lot of good stuff to see. I think that they do have product development to do, and they know it and will openly admit it, but they're working on it, and they're just putting together sprints and then executing. So far, everything I see is favorable. I don't know that they're where they need to be yet, but I think they're closing in, and I think there are market forces that may help as well. So all in all, I would say it's a positive move, and good future for Avaya at this point. Much better than it was a year ago.
Yeah, it looked pretty bleak a year
Yeah,
ago.
it did.
And look, I mean, you and I have known Avaya for what, 20 years,
Yeah.
either as a partner, consultant to, and or observer of.
Yes.
And one thing, the great people, whatever you think of the company's history, the management changes, they're really spectacular people within the organization. So you want people to succeed. And I think Avaya is one of those companies that for many reasons really has to succeed. I mean, you've got DoD customers, you've got state, local, federal governments, you've got international governments. It would be really bad if it didn't work out for those customers and others. So, I think a lot of people are rooting for Alan. He's probably one of the most likable, nicest persons in our industry,
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
means anything these days. I think it still does. And it's going to be interesting to watch. I wasn't there. My invitation must have got lost in the mail, but I'll be watching and observing from the outside looking in, and hopefully they get back in the game in a serious way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Alan Mazarak, he has come out and been incredibly transparent, which I think he's needed to be, but he's not dodged any of the difficult questions, which is really great to see, actually. But one thing I do want to pick up on, actually, Melissa, is that those financials. Alan's been very keen to point out the strength of the financial situation as it stands today. They haven't just come out of Chapter 11; they've come out and their balance sheet is suddenly looking incredibly buoyant, giving them that flexibility to go and do that product development you talk about and make those changes that need to be made, and hopefully, obviously, keep attracting that talent. The 3 new C-suite members, that Alan's selected, they speak volumes. These are people with some serious credentials. So, what are your thoughts on those financials, Melissa? What's that going to enable Avaya to do now?
Well, I don't know that I've followed any bankruptcy procedure where where they landed in a bed of roses at the end of it. It's an amazing flip on the financials. Not only the reduced debt, but the increased cash. And Alan says that it's indicative of the promise that the investors see in the company, that they see the potential, and so they want equity instead of debt, and that's what really was the turnaround, was the move from the debt into the equity. So they are ready to launch as far as the financial position. They could not have ended up any better. I don't see how it could have been any better than what they did.
Yeah. Well, we'll all be watching the story of Avaya as it unfolds over the course of this year and beyond, I'm sure. But we do obviously wish them well as well. So, Evan, Melissa, it's been a short, sharp conversation this week, but we're hoping to have a few more join us next time. Thank you so much for joining me as always and sharing some of your insights.
Great. Thanks for what you do. You guys are awesome.
Agreed.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. If you like today's conversation, please give us a like and a share on social media. That's it from me. See you next time.